listening to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast, your source for all the latest post-apocalyptic news.
Hello everyone, welcome back to this 67th episode of the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. I'm streaming this live and recording the audio here for you podcast listeners. Thank you everyone for joining me. My name is Shawn. I'm the senior editor here at postapocalyptic.com. And, we're going to do this thing. We're going to have a podcast today. There's been so much news. I didn't have a podcast last week, so I'm actually not even going to touch that stuff because there's too much this week. There's just too much. We'll do it live. So this is this week's stuff. We have announcements of new shows. We have announcements of spin-offs. We have announcements of spin-offs of spin-offs. There's just a lot of announcements. And there's also some good recaps. We have a lot of good shows going on. A couple, finale. There's a finale, at least one. One is almost coming up to a finale. But a lot of great stuff this week. So I'm kind of letting some people filter in here for the live stream. And if you are not watching this, it's too late right now if you're not watching this. But for next time, I usually record these, middle of the afternoon on Wednesdays, and then I'll throw up a link and do them streaming also. So I'm streaming what I'm recording for the podcast. It's kind of like it's a bonus. It's a little bonus thing. And you can come in here and ask me stuff in the chat room about, things going on or things I'm talking about. And I can answer you in real time. It's crazy. It's crazy technology. Anyway, let's get into it. Shall we? Look at this. For those of you not watching this on the stream, it's really exciting. I just bring up the web page right on my side here, like I'm Tom Brokaw or something. Okay, this first bit of news is about The Walking Dead spin-off of a spin-off, right? So let's follow the trail here, the paper trail. We have The Walking Dead. There was a spin-off called Fear the Walking Dead, right? Now that one turned into another spin-off, which will be coming on April 10th, called Dead in the Water. Which, Dead in the Water is actually a great name for this because it's a submarine-based zombie apocalypse show based on a spin-off of another zombie apocalypse show. So, if you remember, if you've watched Fear the Walking Dead, there's a guy in there named Riley. I think it was in the last season, or I guess earlier this season. They keep splitting them up. It's hard to tell. Earlier this season, a guy named Riley was a submarine pilot. He was whatever they do in submarines that's not a pilot. The guy that looks through the periscope, maybe. So it was a submarine guy, and he was part of the group in the submarine who fired the missiles, the nuclear missiles that caused a nuclear apocalypse, right? So Fear the Walking Dead, now Walking Dead doesn't have a nuclear apocalypse, but apparently in Texas, which is not, where Walking Dead happened, there was a little bit of a little nuclear skirmish there. And so this kind of tells that story, the story of that crew, the story of how that all came about. It's supposed to be 8 episodes, I believe, on the first, where did I see that? I thought I saw 8 episodes, but anyway, it's going to be a bunch of episodes on this first season. I don't know. It doesn't say that it's a limited series. Oh, here we go. Oh no, that's different. Okay, so yeah, it'll be a limited, or it won't be a limited series. It'll be a series, possibly if it goes a little crazy. Yes, a captain. Thank you, Val. Val told me it's called a captain. I don't know. I really don't know. So we don't know how many episodes exactly, but we do know that it will be Andrew Chambliss and The Walking Dead Universe Chief Content Officer Scott Gimble will be joining Ian Goldberg. And Ian Goldberg already works on Fear the Walking Dead. So, it's in good hands. Scott Gimble, he's the original guy. He's the guy who, basically writes the lore and everything, the world building for The Walking Dead. So it's in good hands. It's an official part of the universe. I mean, there are so many spinoffs now. It's really kind of exhausting, but I feel like they're doing this because it's like there's going to be one for you. You know what I mean? Like maybe you don't like Negan or something in Walking Dead, but there's a spinoff with Daryl and Carol coming up, so maybe you like that and you can watch that. Maybe you love Negan. Maybe he's your favorite person ever. Well, he has a spinoff too, and it's with Maggie. And that's crazy. But that's what's happening. Okay, let's get on to the next little bit of news here. This is Netflix reveals the release date and plot for Resident Evil TV show. Another TV show coming. This one we already knew. Back in September, we heard news about Netflix doing this show. But they just released information on, a little bit more information on the plot. It's supposed to take place 14 years after the apocalypse that happened in the games and the rest of the movies and the comics and all that stuff. This will be 8 episodes. This is the 8 episode one. This is 8 episodes. But July 14th on Netflix. It seems like lately, I don't know. Recently, they've been announcing things like 2 weeks before they come out, and I guess I could understand that, especially after the pandemic, this post-pandemic world we live in. A lot of things were delayed, and things got canceled and things like that. So you couldn't really say this is going to come out next year, because who knows what's going on right now? Who knows if, what's going to be going on with entertainment and everything in a couple months, right? So I think they're waiting on a lot of these announcements where they're not doing them until a couple weeks before, like this Dead in the Water, that Walking Dead spinoff of a spinoff. They announced that, April 10th is coming up, next week? And so this one, it's a little unusual that they announced it so early, and they're now giving a date of July 14th. July 14th is, a few months away. But who knows? Maybe we're getting away from the way things have been last couple of years. All right. So, Resident Evil fans, this is big news for you. It seems like it's keeping in line with the rest of the movies and the games and everything like that. So very cool. It's headed up by Supernatural's Andrew Dabb. The Lance Reddick is in it. He's playing Albert Wesker. Ella Balinska, Tatiana Gaidar, something like that. Anyway, so there's a lot of there's a lot of information here that kind of plays into what's coming up with this. And it's cool. I like that the fact that there seem to be so many game related TV series and shows and stuff coming out that seem to be higher quality. It's like they're taking them a little bit more seriously. We didn't get that in the 90s, really, in the 80s especially. But now we're getting it. Now we're getting, they're dumping a lot of money into this. We have The Last of Us, which is going to be huge. Halo, which I'll talk about in a second. That's a huge production. So, yeah. All right, this next little bit of news. This is from Anime Japan 2022. Had 3 major Attack on Titan announcements. Stephanie wrote this one up. This was, it's funny because it was actually, in U.S. time zones, it was kind of like in the middle of the night. I think she said it was like 3 a.m. or something, our time. So, some of this might have been missed, but she was able to find some translations which talked about, so they had the Blu-ray and DVD release dates were announced. That will be, let's see, Volume 1 is going to be released on July 20th. Volume 2 will be on August 17th. Again, July and August. Not around the corner, but, it's a foreseeable future, right? It's not too bad. And then, let's see, the panel announced that Season 4 Part 2's episode, the final episode date of that one, because, again, everyone thought that after Part 1 of Season 4, that was it. And then, of course, people realize that's not going to be the end of it. So now they have a Part 2, and we're going to see when that's going to end. And then the last little announcement here was the panel announced that the OADs will be released on Blu-ray. So that's good news. Here's some pictures here of that April 27th, 2022. Yeah. So cool news for all of you Attack on Titan fans out there. Dune killed it at the Oscars. Now, if you haven't seen the Oscars, also known as the Academy Awards, the 94th annual Academy Awards happened a couple days ago. What's the one thing that everyone's talking about that? What happened there? I'll give you a second. Yes, it was Will Smith slapping Kid Rock. Now, just by me saying that, the SEO on this podcast has already gone up. It's like skyrocketed. So, oh, did I say Kid Rock? Oh, Chris Rock, yeah. Kid Rock would be a totally different thing. That would be Kid Rock would hit back. I have a feeling. I have a feeling that would be a fight that would last a couple minutes. Chris Rock, who's totally different, got slapped by Will Smith. So the Fresh Prince slapped Kid Rock. Kid Rock, yes, no, Chris Rock. So when this happened, it was actually kind of a big deal. A lot of people, there are memes that have already been made about it. There's also, I don't know. It's like, it's turned into this big thing, like way bigger than anyone would have really thought it would have turned into. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Dune. And we're going to talk about other post-apocalyptic movies that were mentioned during the Oscars, because no one talks about that. Like poor Dune, they killed it. They killed it on this. They won like 6 Academy Awards. And no one cares because it doesn't have slapping involved in the presentation, right? So I just want to bring that up and honor the fact that Dune really did really well at the Academy Awards this year. So they won. Let's see. Best production design, best cinematography, best achievement in sound, best original score, best visual effects, and best film editing. All 6 of those categories. They didn't just, they weren't just nominated, they won. But they were also nominated for a few other categories, including best picture, best adapted screenplay, best costume design, and best makeup / hairstyling. I would have to agree. There was some, boy, that movie really killed it. It was a really, really great movie. Of course, it's based on the 1965 novel by Frank Herbert. And also based on the 1984 movie with Sting, right? Okay, so in addition to Dune winning all those awards, we also had a couple other post-apocalyptic movies that we've talked about on the site and on the podcast quite a few times. Don't Look Up was one that came out like at the very end of 2021. That's the one with Leo DiCaprio. And they're like scientists, and they find out that there's a giant asteroid coming to destroy the Earth, and then they're kind of like telling people, and people are like, yeah, right, whatever, and it turns into this real like deep satire of what people would really act like if they were told that, and it's funny because I think it's kind of true, so it's a good movie. I know I've talked about it on the podcast before. I give it reviews and everything. And then the other one is The Mitchells versus the Machines, which is an animated movie we talked about before. We talked about it. It seems like did it release in 2021? I don't remember. It might have been early because it seems like it's been out for a while. But of course that didn't win because I think Encanto won, that's the Disney movie. It just came out like, it seems like that came out like in 2022. I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, so it seems like The Mitchells vs. Machines was older, but it was at least nominated. It's a really great story, especially if you have, kids, or if you like animated shows like that. Just in itself, it's a really great story. It's really well done. It's a great movie just to sit down and watch. So, congrats goes out to those 2 movies for also being included with Dune. We had our own awards at the end of the year. Now, we didn't give any of those a win. We gave it to Finch because that's more of a traditional post-apocalyptic movie. Like Dune is a post-apocalyptic movie, but it's like way, way in the future. It's very, very deep sci-fi. It is post-apocalyptic, though. Mitchells vs. Machines, we gave a nomination to. And Don't Look Up, I think, came out after we did our awards, maybe. Something like that. It's some little loophole thing where it'll probably be included in next year's. I don't know. We'll see. Don't hold me to that. But yeah, so we had Dune, also on our list, but Finch was, for us personally, the handful of us who work here, that was our favorite of the year. But congrats goes out to all those movies. It was great to see that stuff, especially Dune. I'm such a big fan of Dune, and getting that recognition was really cool. All right, next little bit of news. We have the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel, which doesn't have an official name yet. People just call it the Breath of the Wild sequel, is delayed until spring 2023. So the game's producer went on, he made this video here. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name. So he says that spring of 2023 is more appropriate time for the release. They originally said 2022. I think back in like 2017 they said that. No, 2019. Yeah. So in 2019 they're like, yeah, a couple years. I mean, what's going to happen, right? Nothing will happen to stop us from this production of this game. Well, again, thanks pandemic, right? So the pandemic happened and it kind of stopped things, which understandably, so that's where they're at now. They're saying now 2023, Breath of the Wild 2, Legend of Zelda sequel. It's going to be a big deal, I think. I know Stephanie was really looking forward to this one. She liked the first one. So I haven't played the first one, but I think it sounds interesting from what I've seen. And especially in the sequel, they're adding sky combat and sky adventures and, sky travel. And they're also adding a more open world. I'm a big fan of open world, especially, if you see some of the games I stream here on the channel and the games I review and things like that. Val says, I can't wait for the sky stuff. I agree. Sky stuff is always good. I remember, back when I was huge into MMOs and Ion came out, and that game had, you had wings and you could fly and all this stuff. And then they had, other than mounts in MMOs, World of Warcraft and stuff had flying mounts, but to be able to just, sprout wings and fly was a pretty big deal. And it's gotten big in, games like ArcAge and things like that. It's gotten pretty big. So it's funny how that's such a, I don't know, it's like a solidifying game mechanic that really gets people into to these games. So yeah, that'd be fun to play. All right, now let's get into kind of the stuff that's been reviewed, right? So we have Snowpiercer, Season 3, finale, recap, and review. Tina does these every week. They're really great. I don't want to scroll through these recaps and reviews because they're going to reveal some, spoilers. So I won't do that. But if you've been following Snowpiercer, they just finished Season 3. And the story itself is pretty interesting because I'll talk about this in a second, but so we started on a train, right? Train Snowpiercer. Then we met another train, right? Then the trains broke apart, right? And then they discover, there's this research facility and there's all this other stuff happening. So it's not just on a train anymore. The movie, the 2013 movie, was just on a train, right? And that was kind of the premise of the whole thing. It was like these people surviving in a caste system on a train, and that's it. So it's cool to see that they're branching out. Well, going hand in hand with that, we have this announcement for Season 4. We already knew about Season 4. It was announced last year, maybe earlier this year. And they're talking about something. There's a really interesting part in this article I wrote about they're changing showrunners. So like another fancy word for executive producer. Their executive producer has changed and they have new cast members. So how can you have new cast members on a movie or a TV show about a finite number of people on a train, right? Well, that's hint number one, that we're finding new land and finding survivors, because they hinted at that. And sorry if you've only seen season 1, but they hinted at it in season 2, the end of season 2. So season 3 goes through that also. So season 4 seems to be going out into what literally he says, this new executive producer says, "I can't wait to be on set with such an incredible cast and crew as we continue to explore new worlds." New worlds right there. So we have new worlds, and they've shown pictures, they've shown photos of kind of, a greener area. I mean, that's the whole thing, is they're looking for a way to get off the train, and they're looking for an area that they can settle. Now, will there be a spin-off of this? Like, will they eventually make a spin-off? Not, that's not Snowpiercer. It's like Green Pastures, Green Acres. Oh, they already made Green Acres. So, I'm excited to see that. That would be kind of cool, but it would take away from the whole, like 99% of the premise of the show, if they're just like creating a new colony and starting, humanity over again. I mean, they did it in the 100, right? The 100 kind of started up in space, and then it went down in the planet, and they that turned out really well. I think after a while, it kind of went a little crazy. But anyway, we're not talking about the 100. We're talking about Snowpiercer. So yeah, they have the new executive producer for season 4. Again, his name, you can see it there on the screen. Paul Zibsewski. That's probably what it is. I'm from Chicago. I should know this. I should know words with 14 consonants together, but I think that's what it is. So this is him right here. If you're watching live, you can see him. And then they have the new cast members. I mentioned the 2 cast members. There is Clark Gregg, who plays Phil Coulson on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's an Agent Coulson. And then there's Michael Aronoff, who is a Tony winner, a Tony Award-winning actor. He's also in The Americans. He will be joining, and they don't say what these roles are. Val says, I have no idea how to pronounce this. They don't say what their roles are, but I have a feeling that they're not like stowaways that have been on the train the whole time, right? They're people that are out off the train, right? Other survivors they're probably going to discover. That's what I feel like. So I'm excited. Now, the question is, will Jennifer Connolly ever come back? Like, will we ever see, except for, besides flashbacks, will she still be alive? I haven't seen, now before I say that, I haven't seen the end of season 3 yet. So I might have just spoiled something. I don't think so, but I think if she was back, we'd hear about it. I think it would be all over the place. So I don't know. We'll see what season 4. Season 4 is supposed to be the last season. Well, actually, originally season 3 was supposed to be the last season, and season 4, we'll see where that goes. But exciting stuff. Another show that we're doing a lot of coverage for is Halo. Now, this is on Paramount Plus. Is that right? Paramount Plus? I haven't seen it yet. I'm not even really a huge Halo fan. Like, the game itself came out, 20 years ago? 15 years ago, something like that. I think it was about 15 years ago. And so Halo itself is post-apocalyptic. It's far future, different planet kind of thing. And they finally made this TV series about it. And so Derek and Stephanie have both written up quite a few stories about this. Val's written up a few, and just kind of like this right here, this one I'm showing on the screen right here, the Halo TV series timeline, what's canon versus the games and books. So if you're wondering, if you haven't seen it yet, it's kind of one of those things where you're like, I've read the books, I've played the games, everyone's played the games because they were included with the Xbox when you first bought it. And, so what's different about that versus this series? How accurate is this series? So they go through and they explain kind of the whole thing about, what's similar and what's not. And if you go back, let me see. This is the main page here. there's a lot of stuff written about this. We have, let's see, there's a lot of Attack on Titan stuff. Who is on Silver Team in the Halo TV series? Viewers spot Mass Effect Easter egg in Halo Episode 1, which is an interesting article. That one I read. I'm a Mass Effect fan. I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, but not a huge Halo fan. So that was cool to see that. And then there's a full recap of Episode 1, Season 1, with photos. So the coverage is there. I know Derek is a huge Halo fan, so he's writing up a lot of these, and Stephanie as well. So, and Val too, right, Val? Val's writing these up too. So we have that, and then Walking Dead. Let's get into The Walking Dead. All right. I like to save this for last because I like to just crack my knuckles a little bit. And sorry for anyone who's grossed out by that. And just kind of get into this. The Walking Dead is my thing right now, and I just really enjoy where it's going. I think season 11 is probably their best season in a couple seasons. It's definitely better. I mean, 10 and 11 are better than 9 and 8 by far, and the second half of 7, I would say. Because 7, the first episode of season 7 was the one where someone died. I think everyone knows about this. And then they got rid of another main character a little bit later, and people were like, you know what? I'm done. Well, now all we have left are Daryl and Carol from the original season. But we have Maggie still. I think she came a little bit later. And then we have a lot of the people who have stuck around, for the last couple seasons. Val says she gets all of her Walking Dead spoilers from me. Yes. See, Val edits this podcast, and so she gets to listen. Well, I don't tell spoilers anymore in the podcast, but when I used to do that, she would get all of them from that. So let's go over this. Episode 15 of season 11. Now, it's important to point out that this last season, this season 11, is broken up into 3 parts. I've explained this, I know I've explained this before, but I just want to make sure that that it's clear, and for anyone who doesn't know, that it's broken up into 3 parts. I think there's 24 episodes total, although some people have said 30. I think it's 24. So we're, the first part of season 11 already happened earlier this year. Then they took a couple months off. I think it was 2 months off. And now we're finishing up the second part. That's where we're at now. Episode 15 is the one that just came out on AMC Plus. And episode 16 will be next week. Well, this Sunday for AMC Plus subscribers. So we have AMC Plus. Episode 16 will be the they call it a mid-season finale. It's more like a 2/3 season finale. So what I'm saying, the reason I'm building all this up here and rambling on, is that it's going to be a big one. The benefit of having one season broken up into 3 is you can have 3 finales, right? And you can get people psyched up for 3 different finales. It's a pretty good idea. Also, they're dragging on the, nobody wants to see Walking Dead leave. So they're just kind of dragging it on. But anyway, so this was a good episode. It's called Trust. Again, no spoilers. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but we see, if you watched episode 9, that was the first one of part 2 that came out. And at the end of it, we saw basically what you see here on your screen if you're watching this live. All the Commonwealth troopers going up to Hillside, and Maggie and Elijah are up in the wall there off to the corner. And they say, come out. And Maggie's like, nope, I'm good. And then Daryl's like, so one of the troopers takes off their helmet and is like, no, you might want to just go ahead and let us in, And so at first you see that was at episode 9. So, not a huge spoiler. That was at the end of episode 9. So we saw that and we said, wait a minute. Does that mean Daryl is against Maggie now? Does that mean Daryl is part of these stormtroopers? And does that mean that Daryl is like, a bootlicker, and he's doing what these Commonwealth people say? Well, we were led to believe that for a few episodes now, but this episode kind of sets things straight. It kind of lets you know where Daryl's coming from. It lets you know why Maggie isn't with him. It lets you know why these troops are all coming to the hilltop. Did I say hillside last time? I think it's hilltop. I think I said hillside, but I think it's definitely hilltop. So they went to hilltop, and it kind of explains why they went there. And it's interesting. I think it's a well written and a well timed plot line that kind of goes. It teases you a little bit at the beginning, and then here we are wrapping it up and figuring things out. There's a couple more things that have come back from the dead, if you will, and come back to the plot to haunt people. I mean, there's a lot of kind of tying up loose ends. Next episode, they showed a teaser for that, and it's supposed to be a lot of action, a lot of, just people trying to figure out what they're going to do, how they're going to survive, how they're going to get out of this. And that's been the whole show, this whole time. So it's a lot more of that. It's a lot more of Walking Dead that you've come to know and love for so long. Now, here's something else that I think is interesting. And this is kind of a spoiler, but it's only a spoiler because I think Angela Kang and the producers already spoiled this. So we've announced these spin-offs, right? And we've announced that there's a Maggie and Negan spin-off. We've announced that there's the Daryl and Carol spin-off. And there's supposed to be Rick Grimes movies, right? So we know they all survived. Like, that's where we're at right now, where it's like, okay, well, I guess Negan makes it. I guess Maggie makes it, and Daryl and Carol. And Rick was taken away in a helicopter last season. I think it was last season. Maybe it was season 9. I don't remember. But he was taken away in a helicopter, and a lot of people thought he was dead. Well, everybody on the show thinks he's dead, but we, as the viewers, we got to see him taken away. So the movies themselves are supposed to be kind of a continuation of that. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. It's killing me that I can't really talk too much about it. I'm trying to, I don't want to do spoilers, but I feel like I just, maybe I should do like a spoiler thing again, like get on here on Twitch and just get people on here and we'll just talk about the show and spoilers and everything. 'Cause it's fun. It's a fun show with all the blood and gore. It's so fun. No, it really is. It's a really cool show. I like the way they're doing it. I think if a lot of people gave up on it, but I feel like if you wanted to get back into it, you could probably start at like season 10. If you stop, like if you're one of the millions of people who left literally millions of people who left when Glenn died. I had to spell it out so you would know what I'm talking about. I used to do that with my kids, so it works. Trust me. So when he died, if you look on like the wiki page, I know I've said this before too. If you look on the wiki page, there's the viewer numbers, and it's like right after he died, and then Rick died, and it was So yeah, I feel bad because they're kind of still going all out on this show, and it's really good. Like they've really, I don't know, they're doing really good, and I just feel like not enough people are watching it. Val says what? Glenn. Oh, I said it again. Yeah, you have no idea what I'm talking about, right? Because I spelled it out. No idea. All right, so that is Walking Dead, and so yeah, again, next week for AMC Plus subscribers will be the finale of part 2, but Sunday will be at the same time that's showing the I hate to say regular people, the poor unwashed who just have AMC will be watching episode 15, right? Because you get it a week in advance if you subscribe, if you make them richer. If you pay Daryl's salary, you get it a week early. It's quite a trade-off, right? So that's coming next week on Sunday, and then the week after that will be the final finale of this chunk. Then we have to wait a couple months, and it'll start all over again. Then we'll get the last chunk. So exciting times. So I think that's probably all I have for this. Next podcast, I'm hoping to get an author on here. We have an author lined up for an interview. I probably won't do it live streamed. I'll probably just do audio then. But yeah, look forward to that. It's an interesting topic. It's not just a run-of-the-mill post-apocalyptic story. It's very unique, very cool. So I think you will all enjoy that. So yeah, look for that next week. And that is it from me. I think I'm done, right? Yeah. So thanks everyone for watching. And as always, stay alive out there and always be ready for the big one. Take care, everyone.